Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues. With this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 9 of the anime series, Psycho-Pass 2. We open up pretty much picking up right where we left off, with Mika's being shown the true nature of the Sybil system, asymptomatic criminal brains making up the form and function of said system and all. And what's somewhat surprising to me is her wholly approving and quite literally applauding the poetry in motion that she seems to consider Sybil to be. Of course, Kasei, aka Mama Tagane, and Tagane himself begin to consider a new way of how best to utilize Mika in the aftermath of this in their effort to bring Akane to her knees, in effect coloring her hue black. What's more, do we find out much of Tagane's disturbing history as having been the first artificially birthed asymptomatic criminal, to such an extent that he is seen murdering puppies in his youth, for which he is exalted by Mama Tagane, and at which point I find myself truly hoping someone drops him off the roof of the MWPSB building at some point. We also find, per Yayoi's investigations, I believe, that there was one student survivor, or near-miss case, as it were, that coincided with the plane crash that killed all of Kamui's classmates and almost himself as well. That is to say, the one kid who transferred out just before the trip that led to so many deaths commenced. And it is he whom we see has been an integral factor in Kamui's switching out those apparently illegal alien substitutes for the movers and shakers of society, set into play by Kamui using those holographic disguises, and who too hosts a party wherein Kamui's primped to quite literally burn his bridges. First opening fire on those duplicates using Dominators, Shisui's being the tip-off to Akane's force, to murder those high society dupes, and then torching the mansion wherein their meeting was being held. Interestingly and perhaps suggestively enough is it that Tagane had ordered Mika's compliance in seeking out Akane's grandmother amidst all of this, which coincides with the horrific gift given to Akane at the scene of the smoldering mansion of her grandmother's disembodied ear, apparently or at least seemingly rented off by Kamui's faction, which raises some interesting questions about the potential double agent work between Tagane and Kamui, who appear to be at odds for all intents and purposes, or perhaps it's just coincidental and relates only to the swiftest way that both factions have figured on attacking Akane personally. In any event, it seems Tagane has found Akane's grandmother by the end of the episode, and that really doesn't bode well for her, to say the least. Another interesting thing being, which sits as precursor to his interrogation of Kamui's former school chum, we see Saigajuji himself contemplating his own personal fascination with Akane's potential reaction to all of this, as well as her potential answer to the omnipotence paradox, which at its very core describes the Sybil system as it stands now, having been egged on by Tagane in a previous episode. But per that interrogation, and in the episode's finale, do we find Kamui stepped up his game, taking control of a subway train with his growing faction of survivors or relatives of those lost during the season of hell. Akane's assurance that Kamui's having done so means the game's afoot, leaving me to wonder whether she'll cross that line and see her own hue colored once and for all in her attempt in bringing Kamui down, now that she has something even more personal to relate to this whole unfolding mess, or if she'll get caught in the crossfire potentially of Tagane, Kasei, and Sybil, and Kamui's factions, respectively. And I'm just stoked and sitting on the edge of my seat, waiting to find out what happens next. So otherwise, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of Episode 9 of Psycho-Pass 2, if you've seen it, whether you think Akane will cross that line, or will she stay pure for all intents and purposes as this series comes to a close. And otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video, and then find you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.